Good morning, and welcome to another episode of More Money with Al. I'm your host, Al Moore, Senior Advisor and owner of Al Moore Financial. Such a pleasure to be back with you all again. Haven't seen you all since April. I hope that you all are doing well. Hope that your May is getting off to a good start. We have Mother's Day coming up this weekend. So, to all the mothers out there, we'd like to say Happy Mother's Day to you. Um, I know that we have a lot of new mothers in my family. My wife's kind of a new mother. We have a almost 2 year old, so she's celebrating her second Mother's Day. So I'd like to wish a special happy Mother's Day to my wife, the beautiful Dr. Yvette Allen Moore, and to all the mothers, stepmothers, grandmothers, almost like mothers, sister mothers, all those who've been a mother to someone at some point in time. We'd like to wish you a happy Mother's Day for this coming up week. So, it's been an interesting day so far. Before we get into our since we last spoke topic, interesting note today. There is a bear loose in the great city of Jonesboro, Arkansas. So we're just having natural country life problems. You know, you might be driving down the highway and see a bear by Home Depot. You know, where else can you find good things like that? You know, only in Jonesboro, Arkansas. So hopefully all you all have stayed safe and stayed away from the bear. All the authorities have been good about putting out, I guess, needed precautions, telling people not to approach the bear because I guess without those warnings, maybe someone would have approached the bear. But if you see the bear, please don't approach it and call the authorities. Call Jonesboro PD or animal control, someone, so they can safely get the bear back to where the bear needs to be. Speaking of bears, um, the market actually is still trending upward for the year. Whenever we have reports come out from the Fed when they're kind of iffy about inflation, you might have a couple of days or a week or so where things kind of come down. We've had some earnings reports come out that weren't too friendly, but overall for the year, um, compared to where we started, the market's actually up. So we're trying to run away from the bears. Still haven't quite recovered from the dip that we took in 2022, but onward and upward. So which is always good. Just speaking of, so let's get into our first segment today. Since we last spoke. So since we last spoke, I believe there's been a total of three bank failures for the year. Um, I think the last time we spoke, Silicon Valley was the only one, but since then we've had two more kind of topple off. That would be First Republic and Signature Bank. I fielded some questions about these, got some emails, and of course, one is just saying, "Oh my God, Al, it's the end of the world. Banks are failing. The economy is failing. What can I do?" So, whenever a bank fails, it's never a good thing, but like I always say, when we're making decisions about our money, we want to make the most unemotional decision as possible. So you guys know my train of thought. I always like to put things in context and I like to frame things and have reference points about in comparison to a similar time, what does this mean? So just to frame it about how worried you should be about those three banks failing this year, and they're also regional banks. I don't think either one of those were at what we call a national bank, not in terms of size or assets or deposits. So, like I said, it's not a good thing, but let's put it in perspective. During the Great Depression from 1929 to 33, over 5,000 banks failed. And I know that number sounds crazy um, because most people don't even know that how many banks exist. But and we're talking about almost 100 years ago. 5,000 banks failed. And on top of that, there was no FDIC insurance. So literally, these banks were having runs on them. People were coming and drawing out their money, and people who were late to the bank, they were just done. There was no recourse. There was no government intervention. And so I just want to frame that and juxtapose that as opposed to what we're seeing now. People are saying that the sky is falling about 3 banks. Imagine waking up tomorrow and look at the newspaper, you see that 1,000 banks have failed. So to say we have been here before would be an understatement. We have been here before. There are many fail safes in place to protect some of the depositors. Now, again, when we're thinking about FDIC insurance, which was created for these instances, I want you guys to keep in mind that FDIC insurance, if you're deposited into a bank that has FDIC insurance, you're insured up to $250,000 for that account. So smart people stagger their accounts or have multiple accounts titled differently so that they can take advantage of $250 per account. So for instance, I'll give you an example. Let's say there's a married couple. We have Jane and Bob. Jane and Bob have a joint account at ABC Bank. Well, that joint account, because it's 2 depositors, it's going to be $250,000 of FDIC insurance for Bob, another $250,000 of insurance for Jane. So that joint account is going to have FDIC insurance for up to $500,000. Also, Jane and Bob decide, well, let's have our own individual accounts as well. So Jane has her own account. That account is insured up to $250,000. Bob has his own account. That account is insured up to $250,000. So in totality, they have a total of up to $1 million worth of FDIC insurance. So again, it's just about knowing bank regulations and rules and how to deposit your money, being a smart depositor. And not a ton of people are running into problems with FDIC insurance because not many people just have $250,000 liquid. And if you do have that type of money liquid, you probably should be working with an advisor because very, very rarely is there a reason for individuals just to have that kind of money liquid to where they're potentially in danger of a bank failure and having to lose some of their deposits because of a lack of insurance or going over that number. So it's just something to keep in mind. So since we last spoke, we kind of briefly touched on the bank failures, and though they're not good, we just want to keep in mind we've seen something like this similar before. We've actually seen much worse, even in the Great Recession we have during the housing crisis. We had more banks fail then than we have now. So just something to keep in perspective. Seeing how your deposits are set up, making sure you have the appropriate number of accounts, making sure that they're staggered correctly, can kind of help you weather those bank issues. So secondly, in our next segment, I read that somewhere I was tasked with trying to find a book for some teens, mentees, just about financial literacy and taking the concepts of earned income, passive income, diversification, and kind of simplifying that down to where a 13-year-old, 14-year-old, perhaps even a 10 or 11-year-old can understand it. And I did stumble across a book that I really, really liked for that purpose. It's a book affectionately titled Read Me or Stay Broke by an author, Mark Jackson. I'm sorry. It's a tale. It's kind of it's not necessarily it is a fiction-based book, but it uses real principles as it takes the main character of the story through these scenarios and tells a story about his life, and along the way breaks down some really, really good concepts and strategies about understanding money and understanding kind of the basic principles of financial planning that I think the demographic around that teenage area will really enjoy. It's an easy read. It's kind of a fun read. The story I think will kind of resonate with the younger audience, and it definitely has some jewels in there just in terms of what to do with money, how basic things work, like investments and things like that. It's if this was a book that I wish I had read or someone had given to me when I was 12 or 13, um, it would help me be further along than I am now, just in terms of financial literacy. So, read that in a book somewhere. I'm always encouraging you guys to read. So, write in the comments or in the chat. Let me know what you guys are reading. Some things that you all are getting to your young adult audience, your teenage audience. Some things that you're giving to them to help them get more acquainted with financial literacy, because this journey is it's a marathon and not a sprint, and it is incumbent upon us that we pass all of the knowledge that we have about financial literacy and economics, period, that we pass that down to our younger loved ones so they can be informed. For sure. So now let's get into things you need to know. We're gonna briefly go over, touch on estate planning for a bit. And like I said, estate planning is something that you can't afford not to do. It's one of the few things in finance that you can guarantee will happen. I guarantee you will need estate planning. It does not matter, because so far, as we have observed in life, we have a beginning and we shall have an end. So that is the one thing that you can definitely bank on happening. And so it's the one thing that you have to make sure that you properly plan for. And so I just know the term estate planning for people can mean so many things, or can just sound so just so labor intensive, or just sound so confusing. People are like, oh my God, I need attorneys for that. I need trust. I need all these extra things. And to a degree, that's true. But there are also small things you can do to set up a foundation of estate planning for yourself that can make a world of difference. Now, if you are able to have an attorney walk with you through these things, or have an advisor, it's perfect. Go through all the nooks and crannies, all the inventory, do the tax planning with that. That's great. But I want to speak briefly to my audience who may not necessarily have the time or the resources to have an extensive amount of estate planning done. We're going to go over just three basic things that can put you so far ahead of the game in terms of estate planning. And these are things that you can do within 30 days. It doesn't take a long time to do these. Literally all things that you can get done within 30 days and have an estate plan that your family will love you for. Absolutely. So, like I always say, your loved ones deserve to have as many assets as possible passed to them tax-free after you've transitioned. We spend an inordinate amount of time on this earth paying our dues to Uncle Sam, paying our taxes. The name of the game is to pay what you owe. You want to leave as much as you can for your loved ones tax-free. You want to keep them from paying a lot of tax. You want to keep them out of probate court. So just some small things with estate planning can actually help you do that. So first, I just kind of want to give a broad overview of what the term estate, when you hear the term estate planning, what does that mean? And I'll give you a definition that I kind of like from the American Bar Association. And according to the American Bar Association, estate planning covers the transfer of property at death as well as a variety of other personal matters and may or may not involve tax planning. The core document most often associated with this process is your will. So, like I said, when we get into comprehensive estate planning, like I go over with some of my clients, tax planning is definitely a part of that. Um, it's just it's just something we can't overlook, especially if you're working with an advisor. Um, just a part of the premium that you're paying to work with that advisor is going to cover some tax planning just to make sure that uh, it's it's beneficial for you and your family as possible. Like I said, estate planning can be comprehensive, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. So, just here very briefly, I'm going to go over with three very basic concepts, things that you can do to have a foundational estate planning, an estate plan that you can get done within 30 days. And you may or may not already have one or two of these on your list. You know what one of the first ones is? It's life insurance. Absolutely. Absolutely. Anyone within the sound of my voice, you should already have life insurance, or if you don't, you should be getting it yesterday. Um, it's just something that eventually you're going to need, whether you like it or not. And having a life insurance policy just gives your family and your loved ones one less thing to worry about, making sure that your final moment where they lay you to rest can be covered. And on top of that, replacing your income or leaving money for those loved ones and beneficiaries. Um, it's just critical. It's a critical part of what we do. It's a part of adulting. It's one of the most responsible things you can do, and it's one of the most irresponsible things you cannot do. So first part of your estate plan, a simple estate plan, is just getting yourself some life insurance and naming a beneficiary. And I would even go as far as to saying naming a contingent beneficiary as well. Contingent beneficiary just says, hey, if something should happen to the beneficiary, if they should pass before I do, here's another person who can act as my beneficiary. So that's one, a life insurance policy with a beneficiary. Two is a power of attorney with medical directives in the event you become incapacitated and need someone to make decisions on your behalf. So there are two power of attorneys that you can have. Basically, you can have a regular power of attorney. You can also have a medical power of attorney. Some people have medical directives in their power of attorney. It doesn't hurt to have two. Reason why that's important. I've worked in banking and finance for over a decade. You would not believe, oh, auntie fell and hurt herself. She's in a coma. We need to get some money. She's in the hospital. We have to pay for this. Oh, well, nobody's on their account for auntie. So we can't disperse any funds out of this account unless auntie comes out here to do it. Oh, but she's in the hospital. I'm so sorry, Mr. Customer. I cannot discuss this account without the account holder here present. Those types of things, we don't ever want to think about ourselves being incapacitated or being unable to make decisions. But the reality of life is that that may happen. And if you want to alleviate a headache from the people that you would like to take care of you in those moments, have a power of attorney. It's simple. It's I always encourage people to have an attorney draw those up for them. If you're not able to have an attorney draw them up for you, sometimes you can go to libraries or some hospitals. They have social workers there that can help you with it. Simple sentence, get it notarized, filed with your county that you live in. Simple. Just make sure the person who you're naming as your power of attorney that they're aware of it, that they have a copy in case anything goes wrong. And in the case that you need somebody to make medical decisions for you or give medical directives, you may want to have certain things done if you're in the hospital incapacitated. And one of the worst things to come about is, there's nobody to really make decisions or to have what you would have wanted to happen. So a power of attorney and a medical power of attorney just with directives naming someone who can act on your behalf in case you're incapacitated. That's the second part of a basic estate plan. And number three is a will designating your beneficiaries for your assets and possessions. And I cannot express to you all enough how important it is. That it's very, which states you live. Some of the processes may differ, but at the core of what you want to do with your estate plan, you want to have a will that just lists out your directives and your final wishes for your belongings, for your assets, and for your possessions, so that you don't have to leave that in the hands of a court or a magistrate, or have people arguing over what should go where, who should get what. And you can even make your will. They have some amendments to a will where you can make it where it can't be contested. So if someone tries to contest their will, they are automatically striked or removed from being able to have any of those possessions or benefits at all. And boom, just that you've done a simple estate plan for yourself. Now, of course, the more assets you have, the more complex needs you have. Yes, it's paramount that you get with professionals. You want to go speak to an attorney. You're going to want to speak to an advisor, a wealth manager, because as you have complex needs, or you get to talking about business assets, or you have trust and things of that nature, yes, you're going to want to get professionals involved. But those three things that I listed for you today: a beneficiary, your life insurance policy with a beneficiary, a power of attorney and a medical power of attorney, and just a simple will designating a beneficiary and assets, can be the crux of your estate plan. So, and lastly, just before I get out of here, just keep in mind, the goal of estate planning is to minimize confusion and pass as many assets as possible tax-free and without probate, and relieve your loved ones from having to make difficult decisions by doing the work for them. There's no price you guys can put on a peace of mind. So I just wanted to leave you guys with that. I've got a lot of questions about, some simple things people can do on their own to start the estate planning process. And I just gave you three great things to do that you can get started on your own. And like I said, all those things can be accomplished within 30 days, and you can be on your way to having a peace of mind for yourself as well as for your loved ones. So I hope you guys were blessed with that. Our time's up again. It always seems to fly when I'm here with you guys, but of course I'll be back next month. And June is my birthday month, so June is my birthday month, and it's also Black Music History Month. So we're gonna have to do something special for the month of June. So can't wait to see you guys then. And again, also on the 20th, Saturday the 20th of this month, the lovely brothers of the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Phi Beta Sigma, the new Tau Sigma chapter, is going to be having a financial educational seminar on 407 Union Street in Jonesboro. It's free. You just have to go to Eventbrite to register, but seating is limited. So definitely, if you guys just want to get more information about the real estate market, the economy, the outlook on the markets and all those kind of things, you don't want to miss that next Saturday. Be sure to join us and get more information on the new Tau Sigma page on Facebook, and also post something about it on my page, Al Moore Financial. So hope to see all you guys there. Thanks for spending some time with me again. And again, happy Mother's Day to everybody coming. And until I see you all next time, be well and be blessed. Have a good one.